Let's keep it rolling here. We have the Minnesota Vikings at the Indianapolis Colts. Only injury that I have of note as of right now is Jack Doyle did not participate. I have him as my tight end a few times. I liked him against this vulnerable Vikings defense as a whole, but looks like he may not play, so keep an eye out on that. Let's start off with the QBs in this one. Philip Rivers is a really interesting play this week. I mean, the Vikings defense just allowed 4 touchdowns. Aaron Rodgers, so Philip Rivers, I think, could be a really, really sneaky stream this week. So I think there's going to be quite a few points scored for the Colts. So I really like Philip Rivers as a streamer this week. On the other end, Kirk Cousins, we saw redeem his day in the fourth quarter. Vikings tried to make it a little bit interesting. I do like this Colts defense as a whole, though. I know Gardner Minshew just had went 19 for 20 against him, which is very efficient. But I think part of that reason that it was only for over slightly over 170 yards, so he really didn't have that many yards against them. So this Colts defense is pretty solid. So I expect them to have better days. I think they can shut down Kirk Cousins. So this is already a run first team. Wasn't playing him anyway. For the running backs, Dalvin Cook, you're playing always. Doesn't really matter. We just saw James Robinson have 88 scrimmage yards against the Colts defense. So Dalvin Cook, good candidate to have over 100 scrimmage yards in this one. On the running back side, we get to see Jonathan Taylor as the alpha #1 running back with Marlon Mack. So that's going to be really fun to monitor. Saw Aaron Jones have a nice week 1. I think that as a whole, this Vikings defense is very vulnerable. So I think that Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines was very involved. I think they both are in line for big games. But if the Colts do get up big, this is probably more of Jonathan Taylor's kind of game script rather than Nyheim Hines. But Hines is a weekly flex play no matter what for me right now. We saw him have 8 receptions last week. That kind of volume alone is going to net you nice flex value. Moving over to the wide receivers, I actually like T.Y. Hilton quite a bit. I mentioned I like Philip Rivers, which means I like his pass catchers. T.Y. Hilton, a sneaky play this week. We saw, especially the Vikings last week, were very vulnerable down the field. We saw some big plays given up. So T.Y. Hilton is more of the guy that's stretching the field for this team. So I like T.Y. Hilton. Paris Campbell's sneaky play just because his defense is weak. They tend to defend the slot a little better than other positions, but we saw Paris Campbell lead the team in receiving yards in week 1, so I think he's a sneaky flex play as well this week. Thielen at this point, he's the alpha target monster in this offense. Even though I don't love Kirk Cousins in this game, Adam Thielen's going to eat targets every week. He's going to have 8 to 12 consistently. So you're playing Adam Thielen every week. He's a plug and play for me. For the tight ends, Jack Doyle, yes, I am playing him if he is good to go. Like I said, I like the matchup for the Colts against the Vikings. On the Vikings side, not really trusting Irv Smith yet. He was a guy that we've talked about quite a bit as a breakout, but until I see consistent production from him, not plugging him into my lineup. Kyle Rudolph's very touchdown dependent. I mentioned it with Jeremy Graham earlier. I don't like playing touchdown dependent players because you get a lot of duds from them. So I'll try to take advantage if I have to on a bye week against a weak defense. I'll play a guy that's touchdown dependent, but I'm going to try to stay away. Kicking side, Dan Bailey for the Vikings, as consistent as they come. So most likely, if you have him, you're playing him. One of my favorite streamers this week is Rodrigo Blankenship, who is the Colts kicker. I've mentioned I think the Colts will have an opportunity to score a lot of points on this Vikings defense. So that means lots of points for Rodrigo Blankenship. So I'm very intrigued by him. I really liked him at Georgia. I'm a Georgia college football fan, but he was one of the best kickers in college football, and I'm glad to see he's getting an opportunity. Moving over to the defenses, I like the Colts defense long term. I was surprised They lost that game last week. They held Gardner, even though Gardner Minshew had 3 touchdowns and he was very efficient. He didn't have a ton of yardage, so they were really shutting down those deep balls that he likes to throw to DJ Chark. DJ Chark had a solid game, redeemed it with a touchdown, but he didn't have any of those long passes that we're used to seeing. So I think the Colts can shut that down. Um, Still not playing them as a whole as a defense against the Vikings. The Vikings don't make a lot of mistakes. Kirk Cousins doesn't turn over the ball a lot. He doesn't get sacked a ton, even though this offensive line isn't great. He tends to get rid of the ball. So I like the Colts defense, but not really against the Vikings. And then the Vikings, I mentioned, their defense is a mess, so not playing them right now. And I expect the Colts to really come out strong. They have a lot to prove after losing to the Jags in Week 1, so this could be a fun one for them.